All right, so we're jumping around a little bit. The timelines of these.
The timelines of these don't make any fucking sense. Don't even try.
Okay. So, but if you try and look at timelines in mythology, good luck, because Irish ones don't make sense.
Nah. There's a whole. We're not doing the Kelcar one tonight, but there's a whole one about the death of Kelcar MacGuthagar, who meets Cuchulainn in the beginning, and then at the end of it, his dog is the parent of the dog that gives Cuchulainn his name.
Yeah.
So it really fucking doesn't work.
That one, the monks were just fucking right.
Somebody was just writing stuff down. It doesn't matter.
Someone told me once that all of those beautifully illustrated books were like written in really poorly ventilated rooms, and all of the dyes were highly toxic.
Yeah.
So they were all tripping balls, lads. Pretty sure.
Third story. Let's go.
King Crahor MacNessa was not always a very popular man. Not in hindsight. After all, the curse of Macha fell because of a very poor decision that Crahor had, making Macha race his prized horses and forever putting the Crave Rua into danger. He was a proud man. He was a handsome man. He took many wives. And he attempted to keep the curse of Macha kind of secret for as long as he could by pushing out the borders of Ulster, showing the strength of the Crave Rua, the brilliance of the heroes. No one would ever attempt an invasion on Ulster if they saw how brilliant these Crave Rua were, especially when Cuchulainn was on the field of play. Or Larry Booyuk, slightly Larry Booyuk. More so Conal Carnot, the forked beard, fuzzy-headed, crazy half-brother of Cuchulainn. But there were many heroes. Foster brothers, sorry. So I guess he was attempting to show face. And, well, when that came down, they realised, and Queen Maeve realised the curse of Macha and invaded Ulster, and everyone was struck down by the pains of a woman in childbirth for 9 days and 9 nights, which is the whole story, if you haven't heard it before. Well, he still managed to remain king. They didn't depose him. He stayed there for quite a long time. Queen Maeve, she always had it out for Crahor. And she heard there was a prophecy that Mess Egra. Sorry. Mess Egra would be the man who killed Crahor. And when he died, everyone in the Crave Rua grabbed his body and brought him back to the speckled house, thinking now King Crahor would never be killed. Their king would never be killed. And they did what they did in those days. They chopped the brain out of the head and they soaked it in lime. And it hardened and hardened and it shrank. And the coatings kept it solid and very, very hard and firm. And they placed it on a mantle in the speckled house so called for all of the trophies, much like this trophy, that were placed on the side. Decapitated heads, brains, limbs, and other members of bodies, all just stuck on the face of this beautiful house.
No, it was mostly heads.
It was mostly
They didn't really do limbs.
They did some
heads and brains. And sure, the brains were functional. That was for slingshots.
Sometimes they'd lose a head and they'd just grab an arm and they'd stick it up there, you know?
Swords and shields and stuff.
Swords and shields.
Yeah.
Now,
they weren't that bad.
This was all going well. And they realised that King Crahor MacNessa was possibly never going to die. And all the women were very fond of the fact that he had very beautiful calves.
It was illegal for him to wear long tunics. Even in winter. Yeah. Seems reasonable.
And he was quite flattered by this and enjoyed the fact that they would comment. Oh yeah, what's that, ladies? Oh, sorry. He loved going up and down stairs, you know. Just one of those ones. Just, I'm gonna show any excuse to show off the calves. Now, this was his downfall ultimately. But a man named Keth McMurdoch, who was a Connacht man who'll come up later, who was a very hardened warrior, who fought and faced many of the Crave Rua, who beat many of them, and had heard the prophecy of who would kill Cruhur. And out of loyalty to Maeve and out of anger towards Ulster, he ran in one dark night in January, probably, because there was no one there. Everyone was half asleep or not really facing up to life at the moment. He ran in, he saw the brain of Mess Egra, not Mess Buchla, grabbed Mess Egra's brain and ran out the door. Now, everyone was very weirded out by this. They just, what the fuck happened? Did he just come in and steal it? He did, yeah? No? Grant? Okay. But he was still dead. He was still fine. It was still fine. Calm down, they said. It's okay. There was skirmishes, and there was battles, and there was other cattle raids, and this is the life. This is how they lived. And, well, King Cruhur was lured to a battle on the outskirts of Ulster. And by the borders there, Kettle McMurtough had set up a whole host of women from Connacht to call to Cruhur. Oh, great calves. Wow, look at those. As soon as he heard it, someone appreciating my calves, is it? Well, he ran over and started doing a few lunges. I just have to arch those heels there, Pick it up. Oh, just do a bit of stretching, ladies. And as they were commenting on the shape, the curvature, the exact hair amount that was right. Not too hairy, not too, weirdly, not hairy. Used the right amount of hair on those calves. Well, he was just grinning from ear to ear. Ken McMurtough. He had a slingshot, and in the sling, he had the brain of Mess Egra. And he was taking his time as he was looking at this prime little fucker showing off his calves. And he flung that brain straight into the head of Cruhur MacNessa, knocking him down, not dead. Not dead. No. He just was struck very badly with a brain in his head.
Yep.
So badly that he was very woozy and ran away. But he survived that day. And the Druids, they looked at him and said, right, there's no reason you should be alive. You shouldn't be alive, so let's not do anything.
Just gonna leave that where it is.
He said, no, take it out. You have to take it out.
No, if we take it out, you're gonna die immediately. It needs to stay exactly where it is. In fact, we'll just embroider it in with gold thread and just keep it nice and secure so it doesn't fall out. And furthermore,
grew his blonde hair up and around it. And had a little weird bump there for a while, but
we'll be able to disguise it. Should be grand.
He was just told, a fairly obvious kind of don't drink, don't have fun, don't have sex, and you live forever.
No battles. No feasting. No riding on horses.
And no riding.
No riding.
Just no riding, full stop.
No excitement. No arguments.
That was very tough. He was from Ulster, I mentioned.
You just generally you got to keep the blood pressure as low as possible.
So 12 years went by of him living kind of a non-existence, a numbing. And a numbing happened in him as he forgot what to live for. Because all of the beauty in the excitement was taken away. All of the love for living, for a purpose, for a battle, for a love, for a longing, for a fucking argument was taken away. But then King Cruhur MacNessa of Ulster, a long, long time ago, he heard a story that was so powerful it took over the world, a story of a man that was nailed to a cross. And he was so angered by this, by a man who was unjustly wounded and injured in Palestine. He was so furious that people had let this fucking happen. He was so angry, he jumped up onto his horse and he went to battle and to bring ruin for those who had preyed on the fucking innocent. And in doing so, with that anger that he felt in him for those that were dying and being killed in Palestine, well, for King Conchobar, it was too much. And that brain exploded out of his head and a whole fountain of blood baptized him, so they say. And he was the only pagan to ever live that was said to have gone to heaven, because he went off and he wanted to defend Jesus Christ. But I'm not quite sure if that's true or not. It's a good story though.